Chapter 61, Fiercely Slashing Lingji and Breaking the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crap, Yuxian barely registered the danger when Li Ming was already on him. Adamantine cloth shirt, gotta brace myself, Yuxian wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but his fighting instincts were top-notch. No time to dodge. Hunker down. He maxed out his body-protecting martial art, chi and blood surged, true energy gathered, and his muscles turned into steel cables. His skin shifted, taking on a metallic sheen, like he traded flesh and blood for a body forged in a blast furnace, but, the ox demon was a beast. Bang! The sound echoed through the area. Li Ming's haymaker landed on Yuxian's back like a cannon shot. All that violent energy zeroed in on one spot, like a raging bull, unleashing a tsunami of force. Boom! Yuxian's back muscles were tough, but they were no match for Li Ming's berserker punch. They shredded, followed by a sickening crack as bone gave way. Li Ming's fist seemed to sink right in, leaving a fist-shaped crater in his back. Gah! Yuxian's internal systems crashed. He coughed up a geyser of blood laced with organ fragments, feeling like his back had been scooped out with a melon baller. His prized physique, so tough, so resilient, had folded against Li Ming's ox demon fist like wet cardboard. If Yuxian hadn't spent years hardening his body, that punch would have turned him inside out. He went flying like a ragdoll. Luckily, Yuling reacted fast, channeling his true energy to break his brother's fall, but Yuxian was done. He lay sprawled on the ground, barely breathing, choking on his own blood. No way. Yuling was in disbelief. His little brother had a solid foundation, and he trained relentlessly, day in, day out. How could he go down so easy? If he hadn't seen it himself, he wouldn't have believed it. Damn it, Yuling's eyes burned with rage. You're dead. Snicked, a subtle were cut through the air, and a figure materialized in front of Li Ming. Beneath the mask, his face was pure malice. The black blade shimmered, aimed for Li Ming's vitals. His blade cut through iron like butter. A grade 4 spiritual weapon, amplified by his deadly focus, was a force to be reckoned with. Nice try. You two brothers can take the express lane to hell together. A flicker of killing intent crossed Li Ming's face, and the Yu Dao appeared in his hand. He drew the sword in a blur. It crackled with sword intent, like a dragon taking flight. The blade shone like a beacon, slicing through the air. Clang! The blades met in a deafening clash of steel. The energy surged, and the impact sent shockwaves through the area. Sword energy sprayed, carving deep grooves in the ground. The two men staggered, seemingly evenly matched, but even though Yuling's gaze was still razor-sharp, his arms felt numb and shaky. The guy's strength was unreal. Li Ming's true energy spiked, resonating with the Yu Dao. A palpable aura of menace radiated off him. Li Ming lunged, his sword dancing in a whirlwind of lethal strikes. Clang, 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 the sounds of metal on metal rang out. Yuling wasn't a slouch. He'd been through countless battles. But as the fight dragged on, Li Ming's raw power began to tell. He struggled to keep up. Sweat poured off him, and his fingers spasmed. He finally understood how Yuxian had been crushed so easily. Was this what it meant to face a top-ranked prodigy? His demonic energy seemed to have no effect on Li Ming. The Qinglong sword's intent was as fearsome as a thunderclap. In the end, overwhelming demonic energy couldn't stand up to the green dragon's might. Li Ming's strength felt bottomless, like some kind of monster. Then, just as Li Ming was waiting for, he saw his chance and threw a punch. It hit like a freight train, right in Yuling's chest. Yuling grimaced, contorting his body in a desperate attempt to deflect the blow. But it was too late. Blood sprayed from his mouth. Is that all you've got? That even as the words left his lips, Li Ming was already moving. He was on the other guy in an instant, towering over him. He raised his sword, ready to deliver the final blow. The blade glowed with power. The moon weapon pattern shimmered, focusing all the energy into a single point. A dragon's roar shattered the air. It felt like the end of the world. Even the sky seemed to crack. Yuling gritted his teeth and braced the sword with both hands. Dark energy swirled around him, and a demonic shadow flickered into existence. He channeled every ounce of his will into the blade, preparing to strike back from below. You ask for this. Demon sword, annihilate the heavens. The technique was powerful, but it was a suicide move. Every time he used it, it would shorten his life. It was pure dark magic, but when your life's on the line, what choice do you have? Life's precious, sure, but is it this precious? Boom! The explosion rocked the area, the two swords met, the green dragon tore the demonic shadow to shreds, and Yu Ling's sword shattered like glass. The force of the blow was unstoppable, slicing through everything in its path like a hot knife through butter. The dust settled, and the blade found its mark. A geyser of blood erupted, painting the world crimson. Arg! Yu Ling stared, dumbfounded, at his severed arms. A wave of searing pain crashed over him, twisting his face into a mask of agony. Then came the rage and the despair. If they lost this easily, was it all a waste? Did all their hard work mean nothing? Was that it? Were they just a joke to these true geniuses? His face was a mask of anguish, streaked with blood and tears. Li Ming stared down at the broken man. Life is sweet, but death is bitter. Maybe you don't really understand what it means to live until you're about to die. Let me help you out of your misery. Killed Yu Ling, gained 24,000 life energy. Anti-fate activated. Entry capture available. Beheaded Yushan, gained 20,000 life energy. Anti-fate activated. Entry capture available. Finally, it's over. Li Ming sighed with relief. They weren't weaklings, but luckily for him, they weren't the brightest either. Finally, a physical entry. I wonder if it can be combined with my other entries. Li Ming stared at Wind Spirit Body, lost in thought. Chapter 62, Hunyuan Spiritual Body, Heart of Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. People kill for money, animals kill for food. If you kill, you better be ready to get killed. Li Ming stared coldly at the two bodies lying in a pool of blood. Then, he gathered up their belongings. The two guys were carrying a bunch of rare treasures, probably stuff they'd found in this secret place, either by robbing someone or just getting lucky. Li Ming reluctantly took their stuff. Afterward, he told Xianxia it was time to go. They went back to the cave where they'd been hiding out. First, Li Ming took care of the evil blood beasts wandering around so Xianxia wouldn't be disturbed while she leveled up. Here, take these evil fruits. Eat them when you start condensing the evil energy. Li Ming waved his hand, took out 3 evil fruits from his storage ring, and handed them over. Xianxia had been a big help, especially in getting Tong Qing the message, leaving Su Yuanyuan no wiggle room. He had to help her out, plain and simple. Xianxia looked surprised. That's a lot to give me, don't you think it's wasteful? Usually, the more of this stuff you eat, the less effective it is. 1 or 2 is usually the sweet spot. It's nothing, I've got plenty. If you need more, I got you. Li Ming said casually. He had 20 of these things. He'd only eat 3 or 4, tops, and trade the rest for other resources. He still needed the right stuff for the Yimu Zhengong to form a pill. He figured he'd hit up Fatty Kaisher-san after they left the secret realm and see if he could buy or trade for everything he needed with what he'd collected. Not wanting to bother Xianxia, Li Ming walked out of the cave and kept a sharp eye on everything around. He was thinking about which 2 traits he should grab. He hadn't taken the Yu brothers' traits earlier. Even though Yu Ling's magic knife was a blue-level trait, which was super rare, it wasn't his style, so he had to pass. Killing Heart would make him an extreme, bloodthirsty person, but it also dulled the guilt after killing. That wasn't him either. It came down to choosing between the true meaning of the sword and the body of the wind spirit. Yu Ling had only figured out 10% of the true meaning of the sword, so that was out. The body of the wind spirit, green, superior cultivation physique. The wind of heaven and earth is all helpful, and the speed of practicing wind-related skills is accelerated. Heaven is wind, earth is wood. This Yu Ling's practicing the dark arts and gone too far into the weeds. He hasn't paid attention to his physique, totally backward. But this physique is a lot like my old Qingmu body. I wonder if they'll clash with my Yimu spirit body, or if they can merge. Li Ming thought it over. Then, he went straight to the system. What happens if I grab the body of the wind spirit? It can merge with the Yimu spirit body. If you spend a lot of life energy, you can trigger a superior fusion. Superior fusion, what's that? Li Ming was a little confused, but he didn't sweat it too much. What are the perks? It can be merged into a new trait with a higher upper limit than the previous trait. How much life energy are we talking about? 50,000 life energy. Huh, Li Ming was taken aback, for just a blue and cyan trait. That was steep. Was it trying to rip him off? No rip-off. This fusion's worth it. Seeing that the system had actually added a word, Li Ming sighed. He'd never be free of life energy costs. Finally, he clenched his teeth and said, let's do it. He figured the system wouldn't steer him wrong. He couldn't do anything if it did. As soon as Li Ming thought it, he spent the life energy he'd just gotten, and a new trait popped up. The simple font seemed to radiate ancient power. Hunyuan Spirit, Blue. Hunyuan is the beginning of Yuanqi. The sea embraces hundreds of rivers and the road is far away. This is the strongest spirit between heaven and earth, currently unawakened. Instantly, Li Ming was surrounded by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The tendons, bones, and organs inside him were as clear as stained glass. His skin glowed, as grand as the power of heaven. After a while Li Ming looked the same, but seemed more slender, with skin as smooth and white as a baby's, and eyes that were dark but shone with light. His whole body radiated a noble vibe that seemed to be there and not there, like a banished god without any dust on him. My old emu spirit body and jade bone made me reborn and fresh. I didn't expect this Hunyuan spirit body to be even stronger, like I've jumped up a level in life. Li Ming carefully checked out the changes in himself, felt the gains from the Hunyuan spirit body, and nodded, satisfied. The blood and true energy were even more condensed, and he could use them as easily as waving his arms. His emu Qinglong Qi, which was originally pure green, now had black and white mixed in. Pretty cool. If regular fighters use true Qi, he was the master of true Qi. Even in this polluted spiritual energy, Li Ming could turn it into true Qi way faster than before. The short version, what Emu's spirit body could do, Hunyuan spirit body could do too, but Hunyuan spirit body could do things that Emu's spirit body only dreamed of. Worth spending the life energy. But this Hunyuan spirit body isn't the limit. This Hunyuan spirit was definitely not what a blue trait should be. It had to be because he didn't have enough life energy that the Hunyuan spirit wasn't fully powered up. The description said it was unawakened. Leveling up drained too much life energy. Then, Li Ming chose from Yueshan's traits, Vajra body, Tiger power, martial arts fanatic. The first two could be tossed into existing traits to stoke the fire, and martial arts fanatic could be joined up with Li Ming's current boxing fanatic, but it still needed life energy to join up. Li Ming looked and saw it was only 3,000 life energy. Whatever, let's do it. That little life energy wouldn't hurt. Heart of martial arts, Blue. Only my martial arts hold the most sincere heart. My heart is the heart of heaven. My way is the way of heaven. Li Ming read the trait's description and thought about it. Only my martial arts. Was that the system's take on him, or was it what was in his heart? It fit. He'd been mad for no good reason a bunch of times, hating this world, hating the high-class families, hating bandits who didn't care about human life, and hating demons who saw people as ants. He figured, so what if he had a system? What were gods and immortals? Now and then, he thought about killing all the bad guys in the world, and this mind-type trait was like a safety net, making him calmer about power and martial arts. That was what every martial arts master needed. That was why poor kids sometimes became noble sons. Many of the geniuses from big families and powerful groups weren't pure enough or enlightened enough to chase martial arts. In the cave, Xianxia looked complicated. Li Ming had helped her too much, and she owed him big. Brotherly, I won't forget what you've done for me. If you ever need me, let me know. Xianxia looked at Li Ming and said, serious. Miss Qin's been a big help to me. This is just helping each other out. Friends don't need to think too much about these things. Li Ming smiled faintly. She thought he helped her a lot, but it was no big deal for him. Rest up, and then we can check out other parts of the secret place. I wonder how the top-grade evil spirit will show up. Xianxia nodded. Okay. Another spot in the blood-killing secret realm, a flat area on the bloody ground. The wind howled, and red blood mist floated in the air. A team of fighters looked down from high ground and were stunned by what they saw in the distance. What the heck is that? Teams of spearmen and cavalry, each lined up in order, the blood-red flag flapped in the wind, they looked as grand and immovable as a mountain. Chapter 63, Blood Mountain Army, the Ultimate Evil Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This endless, bloody evil aura rose above the army, incredible. The military's power and blood are intertwined, and there's that banner. Is that the Blood Mountain Army from the previous dynasty? Oh man, if that's the case, this unparalleled evil spirit trial is gonna be a real beast. Someone blurted out, shocked. Another person chimed in quickly, hold up. Give us the details. The first man cleared his throat, trying to sound composed. Okay, so, everyone knows the deal with this secret realm, right? I won't bore you with that. Back in the day, the Blood Mountain Army was the great Zhou dynasty's low-grade Taoist soldiers, 9,000 strong. 9,000? Someone gasped. These were Taoist soldiers. Sure, they were low-grade, but Taoist soldiers aren't your average Zhous. They were hand-picked, and their training cost a fortune. Their strength was way beyond regular troops. At their peak, led by their commander, this army of 9,000 would give even a martial saint a run for their money. Of course, the martial saint could always bug out, but a grandmaster? Forget about it. They'd be toast against this army. Yeah, so the Xianxia sect, which was all over the news back then, teamed up with some other groups to start a rebellion. The whole country exploded. The 9,000 Blood Mountain Army got sent to Cangzhou to crush the rebels. But the rebels set up a massive ritual here and sacrificed a whole city, hundreds of thousands of people, in a blood offering. Long story short, the Zhou dynasty spent years fighting this mess, bleeding themselves dry. They sent guys all over to put down the riots. They finally crushed the Xianxia sect rebellion, but the treasury was empty, and the country was screwed. A few years later, they lost the whole shebang. Seeing the guy getting lost in the historical details, someone snapped, cut the crap, get to the point. If I remember right, you can only snag the top-grade evil spirit by taking out their leader. Heard this, someone immediately asked, these 9,000 Taoist soldiers. You want us to kill their commander? No way, how are we supposed to do that? No joke, a martial saint would have trouble pulling that off, and they're supposed to what, toss their lives away? They were just golden core cultivators at best. The dude who was explaining things just smiled. The guys who made this secret realm wouldn't set up an impossible task. Based on what's happened before, these Taoist soldiers are powered by blood and evil aura. Basically, they're just evil spirits in a different skin, blood beasts, really. They're nowhere near as strong as they were when they were alive, and they're not exactly rocket scientists. They can't use their skills the way a Taoist soldier should, but don't underestimate them. Plus, the commander is guarded by layers of troops. Snagging that top-quality evil spirit is gonna be a nightmare. There have been 3 tests like this before, and only one group managed to kill the commander, and even then, people died like crazy. Hearing that, everyone perked up. A Golden Core Realm warrior asked, so, should we give it a shot? This is a prime opportunity. No one's around. Why don't we swipe the top-grade evil spirit and let everyone else eat our dust? With that, he looked at the young warrior leading the team. Everyone on this crew was basically working for him, even if they were golden elixir masters. He was the one with the cash, they had to listen to him, he figured, might as well go for it. You never know. The eyes of some of the other tough guys lit up. For the last few days, they'd been on edge, hunting for traces of the unparalleled evil spirit. They tried to avoid fights, but now there was finally a chance for a showdown. For martial artists, that was the real prize. Forget sitting at home twiddling their thumbs or whatever. Seeing everyone itching for a fight, the team's strategist spoke up again. From what I know, when we attack, it's like setting off a trap in the secret realm. It'll cause a huge ruckus and attract a whole lot of people. That poured some cold water on everyone's enthusiasm. They might be reckless, but they weren't stupid. The young leader thought it over. In that case, maybe we should spread the word and make a plan. Join forces, then everyone goes their separate ways. Ugh, that's all we can do. We actually had a chance, and it's totally useless. What awful luck. Some of the team members were pissed. They were complaining about getting stuck with such a tough test, but they couldn't do anything about it. They knew that deep down, with a prize like that exquisite evil spirit on the line, the competition wasn't going to play nice. They didn't want to do all the work and hand the win to someone else halfway through. In the blood-killing secret territory, the sky was gray, and you couldn't see the sun or moon. Time passed according to each warrior's own feelings. In a mine, Qin Tian was leading some members of the Qin family, working hard to dig. Keep at it, everyone. We'll make a fortune when we get out. That it was tough, sweaty work, but their faces were full of happy smiles. These were real smiles. Don't underestimate being a miner here. This place was a treasure that the Qin family had found a long time ago. It had a lot of valuable ore. People from the Qin family found it by chance the previous time they were in the secret realm. They dug there all night, until they were forced to teleport out. They ended up making a lot of money. The luckiest one sold the ore and immediately used it to get the resources he needed to break through to the golden elixir realm. It was so inspiring. Qin Tian swung his pickaxe, thinking that his cousin Qin Yun was stupid. She'd rather trust an outsider than make a fortune together with him. Couldn't he just use the money to get a high-grade evil spirit when the time came? Why risk his life fighting those high-level evil spirit blood beasts that are not easy to mess with? With money, why bother with opportunities? That was why he had even borrowed the family's storage bag. He'd been digging happily for days and had already found several pieces of high-quality ore. They were worth a lot of money. Suddenly, he heard a voice. Not good. Someone came and messed up my setup. Qin Tian's good mood vanished, and he looked grim. Don't sweat it. Let's go find out who's being so bold. The three of them got up and walked out. Outside the mine was a forest. Usually, no one came here, but then, 4 figures came out of the forest, 3 men and 1 woman, all wearing the same outfit, black with dark patterns. One of them was at the golden elixir realm, and the other 3 were at the Ninggang realm. Qin Tian and his buddies felt nervous. They knew this was gonna be tough. They were all at the Ninggang realm, and they couldn't afford to piss these guys off. Seniors, what brings you here? Qin Tian spoke first, showing respect. Your treasure hunting rat is pretty useful, junior brother. The leading golden elixir warrior ignored Qin Tian and smiled at the young man behind the team. Chapter 64. Who are you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ichi sect was a well-known group in Cangzhou. Though they didn't have a martial saint, they did boast a 4th-grade supernatural master, which was enough to consider them a major power. Leading the pack was Jiang Lang, a top disciple of Ichi sect. He was the oldest and most skilled of the bunch. He'd already maxed out his condensation realm, built a solid foundation, and gathered the resources for forming his elixir. After entering this secret area, he'd finally pulled it off. He took this mission for the sect to protect his junior brothers and sisters, and to absorb some evil energy, and hey, maybe score some goodies along the way. This secret realm was full of perks. A golden core master like him could usually clean up, and opportunities like this didn't come around often. They'd been picking off the weaker, higher-level evil spirit blood beasts, racking up a bunch of high-quality evil spirit crystals. Right now, they'd merged with the evil energy, hitting the 8th level of the condensation realm. You've done it again, junior brother Yi. Han Yinshu's voice was soft and sweet, but you could see a hint of greed in her eyes. Thanks to junior brother Ye's treasure-sniffing rat, they'd been hitting pay dirt every step of the way. This time, he'd led them on a detour to this very spot. Who knew this out-of-the-way place held something special? She'd totally underestimated junior brother Yi. The young man called Yixing sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. Ah, shucks, senior sister Han, it's nothin'. Just doin' my part. Senior sister Han was the only one who ever treated him right, and her praise made him feel all warm and fuzzy. Watching the crew yakking it up, acting like they weren't even there, Qin Tian clenched his fists, but still didn't say a word. Jiang Lang noticed Qin Tian's nervousness and smirked. Looks like you guys have been doing pretty well for yourselves. Spill it. What treasures have you found? Just some cheap ores. If you want, senior, they're yours. Qin Tian was all humility. Jiang Lang's expression darkened, his tone turning icy. Oh. Just cheap stuff, huh? We might be interested in your ore, and maybe some other things you've got there, but we're not about to rob you. Consider it a loan. Or maybe we'll just buy them. Just be straight with us. Han Yunshu chimed in with a saccharine smile, eyeing the Qin family. How about we step inside and check out where these ores are stashed? Or, maybe you've got M on you. Care to show us what you've got? Good cop, bad cop. Classic. Qin Tian maintained his respectful demeanor, but his gut was churning. You're pulling my leg, senior. We keep the ores in the cave. His smile was plastered on, but his heart sank like a stone. Truth was, they didn't have much or left in the cave. Most of their recent hauls were tucked away in his storage bag. If these guys went inside, they'd know something was up. The Qin family was small potatoes compared to a behemoth like Ichi sect. Name-dropping wouldn't do them any good. Besides, he wasn't dumb enough to think they'd walk away alive after handing over their goods. The other two guests were in the same boat. They exchanged glances, knowing that even though the Ichi sect was talking nice now, they were probably dead men walking. But running wasn't an option, was it? They were too close. Could they even get away? Qin Tian kept smiling, trying to buy time. When he saw the little rat in Yi Sheng's arms zeroing in on him, a chill ran down his spine. He yelled. Head for the cave. Qin Tian flung a bag of lime powder, briefly blinding Ichi Zong and company. Then, he spun around and booked it for the mine. The cave system was like a maze, with tunnels heading every which way. No one knew where they all led. They figured mining deeper in might yield better results, but it was crawling with evil spirits and blood beasts, some of them seriously nasty. So, they hadn't dared to venture too far in. They stuck to mining the outer edges. Even so, the rewards had been pretty sweet. Now, desperate times called for desperate measures. They'd have to use those evil blood beasts to slow the Ichi sect down. Going in might shake them off, and they'd have a shot at living to see another day. All three moved like a well-oiled machine. This was their emergency plan. Without hesitation, they unleashed their inner energy and plunged into the mine. Just then, Li Ming's voice echoed. What's going on? Looks like those guys aren't your family. Looks like folks from the Ichi sect. Ichi sect? Never heard of M. Li Ming said. He and Hunyuan had been hitting up some spots nearby lately. He hadn't struck gold every time, but he'd still made out like a bandit. His crazy strength meant he could take down some high-level evil blood beasts, snagging a ton of high-quality evil crystals. He'd tangled with a few folks who wanted to test him, but they were all pushing up daisies now, which meant a sweet boost to his life energy, about 30,000 points. The Jianghu wasn't just about brawling. Li Ming ran into a group who were pretty chill, even though they weren't pushovers. He didn't jump to attack. Instead, he traded evil spirit crystals for treasure. They were super polite, gave him a killer price, and even pointed him to some top-tier evil spirit. Li Ming got the coordinates. Word was, a bunch of groups were already headed there, planning to team up for a Blood Mountain army raid on the last day. Li Ming was stoked. For Qin Yun's safety, he was gonna send her to meet up with the Qin family first, then go solo for the top-grade evil spirit, and then he stumbles into this whole mess. Jiang Lang's voice dripped with amusement. 3 ran off, and 2 more show up. Too bad for you, they look weak, with no treasures to speak of. Li Ming eyed these jokers. The leader radiated a calm aura, like he wasn't new to the Golden Core scene. Looked like he had some serious experience under his belt. Name, Jiang Lang. Realm, 2nd level of Golden Elixir. Entries, Crazy Sword, green. True meaning of sword, green. Light, green. Strong bones, green. Evil courage, white. Revengeful, white. Arrogant, gray. Name, Han Yunshu. Realm, 8th level of Condensed Gang. Entries, Intelligence, green. Soft body, green. Vicious, white. Delicate heart, white. Charm, white. Delicate heart, white. Openly kind-hearted, careful and decent, secretly indifferent, scheming, playing with people's hearts. Name, Yi Sheng. Realm, 8th level of condensed gang. Entries, Fire Spirit Body, green, Sword Skills, green, Silver Bones, green, Fortune, green, Affinity, white. The last guy was a nobody. Li Ming cut straight to the point. Anything you want to say? Jiang Lang smirked. Just a little short on cash. Figured we borrow some from you. Yisheng, clutching the treasure-sniffing rat, spoke up. Its tiny claws were going nuts, pointing at Li Ming. Brother Jiang, that guy's got a major stash, Yisheng blurted out. He'd never seen the rat so worked up. He was buzzing with excitement, too. Oh, really? Jiang Lang was thrilled. An unexpected bonus, Li Ming frowned. You don't know who I am? He was a little surprised. He was on the wanted list, after all. He'd made a name for himself a few days back. How could they not know? Jiang Lang paused, scowled, and studied Li Ming. Nope, he didn't recognize him. Then, he scoffed. Don't care who you are. I suggest you get smart. Hand over your stuff, and maybe you'll live to see tomorrow. Jiang Lang was dripping with arrogance, like Li Ming was nothing to him. In his eyes, he was just a condensation realm nobody, and the woman with him was another condensation realm nobody. Nothing to sweat. The other Ichi sect members didn't even flinch. They looked at Li Ming like he was some kind of sideshow. Li Ming had made some noise, sure, but not everyone had been there to see it. A few of them dismissed it. Unfortunately, those some were the Ichi sect disciples. Chapter 65, Tell Me My Name and Scare You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ming sighed. Yeah, I've got the stuff. How much do you need to borrow? Then he added, just don't know if you can afford to borrow it. Li Ming rattled off a list: Evil Spirit Fruit, Blood Gold Stone, Crimson Jade, Blood Spirit Flower. He sounded like he was reciting a menu, naming off these treasures like they were nothing, each one a small fortune. The other four were stunned. That much? This Ning Gang realm warrior was loaded, way richer than them. It wasn't that they were poor, but that Li Ming was seriously wealthy. If he sold all that at market price, he could buy enough pills to help several people condense. He probably had more dough than most of the god-refining masters in the sect. The higher you climbed, the more it cost just to stay there. Unless you were making bank, you wouldn't have much left over. I'll definitely pay it back. Can I have a little extra time? Han Yinshu's eyes gleamed. I mean, you've got so many resources. Could you, give a little something to a poor girl, even if I don't pay it back? Jiang Lang cut in. Alright, knock it off. Just get him to hand over the goods. I bet this guy's got a stash somewhere. He made a move to grab him. Hold on, Li Ming said, stopping him. I've got one question. Who are you people? One Qi sect, Jiang Lang answered bluntly, figuring Li Ming was smart enough to cooperate. So, Li Ming pressed, do you even know my name? Who cares? Before Jiang Lang could finish, he felt a prickling sensation. Li Ming had vanished. He was right in front of him. Arrogant as he was, Jiang Lang reacted quickly, blasting out his true energy. Sword intent surged into his blade, and the full power of a golden core grandmaster exploded. Boom. A beam of sword light sliced through his attack, and the backlash sent him reeling. Jiang Lang paled. His sword vibrated uncontrollably. What force? He was still trying to get his bearings when a dragon's roar echoed. The sword flashed, the black blade bearing down with unstoppable momentum. 20% sword intent detonated. Unstoppable. Jiang Lang roared, throwing everything he had into defense. One Qi sword technique. The signature technique of the One Qi sect, a master-level art, known for its explosive power, but he quickly realized his own power was utterly outmatched. No way. I'm a golden core master. Jiang Lang watched, horrified, as the cold light swept closer. His resistance was useless. The sword energy shattered his defenses. The blade was a translucent flicker, the spray of blood an ugly counterpoint as they merged before his eyes. Only then did Jiang Lang realize his left arm had been severed. My hand. Aya. You bastard. Agonizing pain ripped through him, shattering his composure. teeth gritted, spitting blood, he snarled, "You're dead." Blood frenzy technique. Instantly, Jiang Lang's body surged with even greater power, an overwhelming flood, but then a fist exploded, a phantom bull demon materialized behind Li Ming, the punch landed like thunder, raw power crashed down like the sun, boom, star, Jiang Lang screamed, the shockwave throwing him backward, vomiting blood, his insides felt like they'd been blown to pieces. "Is that all you've got? Looks like you're beyond saving." Li Ming's face was blank. He moved again, and he was standing in front of Jiang Lang. He raised his sword, gathering killing intent. "If you kill me, the One Chi sect will never let you get away with this." Terrified and overwhelmed by pain, Jiang Lang's world crumbled, and panic washed over him. "So what?" Li Ming didn't care. He brought the sword down. At that moment, the other two male disciples of the One Chi sect, fighting their fear, attacked. They knew that if they didn't act now, they might not get another chance. Yixing growled, "Mystic fire sword technique." He was confident in his skills, sure he could turn the tables. During his solo training, he'd stumbled upon a rare opportunity. After swallowing a piece of spirit grass, he'd undergone a complete transformation. He'd mastered the mystic fire sword technique, surpassing all his peers. He'd planned to show off in the sect competition, but now he'd have to reveal his hidden power. Senior Sister Han, "I'm here to rescue you." Yi Sheng was swept up in fantasies, imagining himself, heroic and powerful, winning the heart of his senior sister, but to Li Ming, their swords were pathetic. "You asked for it." Li Ming gripped the Yaoyue sword, his true energy flowing. Azure dragon turns the sword 9 times, the dragon looks back. Whoosh. Li Ming's figure became a blur, leaving afterimages in the air. "Remember, Li Ming is the one who killed you." The sword fell. Azure dragon impact. In an instant, the two men's attacks were shattered, their chi defenses ripped apart like paper. Han Yunshu watched in horror as the two of them were sliced apart in a single stroke. Li Ming killed them like it was nothing, no contest. Killed Yi Sheng, gained 3,500 life energy. Against the fate activated, you can capture the entry. Killed Song Ren, gained 2,800 life energy. Against the fate activated, you can capture the entry. Then Li Ming swung his sword, and a jet of sword energy shot through the air. He finished off the dying Jiang Lang completely. Killed Jiang Lang, gained 24,000 life energy. Against the fate activated, you can capture the entry. Han Yunshu stared into Li Ming's cold eyes as he slowly walked toward her. She trembled, backing away, filled with regret. He was that Li Ming. They might not know what he looked like, but they knew the name, Li Ming. "You should have said something." Han Yunshu screamed in her head, but her mouth stayed shut. "I'm easy to get along with," Li Ming said calmly, "but I'm also stingy, and I really hate lending money or stuff. I really will pay you back." "Oh." Han Yunshu intentionally exposed a little of her cleavage, then tried to steady her voice. "Let me go. I'll serve you. I'm very capable. It's all right. I'm not petty," Li Ming said generously. "Just be more careful in your next life." He sliced her down with one strike, beheaded Han Yunshu, gained 3,000 life energy. Against the fate activated, you can capture the entry. Among the entries, only, luck, caught Li Ming's eye. Luck, green, the lucky one, beloved by heaven and earth, blessed with good fortune and the fulfillment of all desires. The fulfillment of all desires. Li Ming scoffed. Did Yixing die because he wanted to? So there was a protagonist, but he just wasn't the main protagonist. Compared to my own misfortune, I wonder if this luck is a little more reliable. Chapter 66, Turning Disaster into Fortune. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The other entries were useless to Li Ming. He picked 3 at random, integrating them into himself, but they only marginally improved his foundation. Only this, fortune, perk gave Li Ming pause. Can fortune and misfortune be combined? Yes, they are highly compatible. Cost, 30,000 life energy. Li Ming said, surprised. That's a hefty price, but I can swing it. Without hesitation, he paid the 30,000 life energy. turning disaster into good fortune, blue, blessed by lucky stars, guided by noble people, protected by heaven and earth. Good fortune and prosperity, glory and honor. Even encounters with danger and misfortune will be transformed into good luck. Sounds amazing, but is it actually worth anything? Li Ming pondered. When he killed Yi Sheng, the guy also had a fortune perk, but Li Ming didn't feel any resistance from it. Besides, his master had strong luck, and he still ended up with a ruined foundation. Clearly, even with luck, there needs to be accumulation and some gets used up. Even ordinary people have their ups and downs. You can't completely buy into these descriptions. It's like the difference between what you see online and what shows up at your door. To be practically invincible, you probably need gold level luck. Maybe he could reach that level if he leveled up a few more times, becoming a true chosen one, an emperor in the making, finding treasure wherever he goes, stumbling into adventures, always rescued at the last minute, rewarded for doing the right thing. But mastering the Hunyuan spirit body has definitely boosted my power. Taking out those guys before would have been a struggle, but now I can practically steamroll them. Brotherly, I've gathered your stuff. A gentle voice pulled Li Ming back to reality, but looking at the meager pile of belongings, his face darkened. This is it. What were they doing? It's been days. How did they only find this much? I mean, it's not nothing, but you'd think there'd be more with a chosen one around. This isn't what Li Ming expected. Then his eyes landed on a small, green cloth bag, and they lit up. Is this a storage item? Hunyuan nodded, pointing to Yi Sheng's corpse. Found it on him. Li Ming snatched the bag and rifled through it. Supposedly, this guy had lucky, so it didn't make sense for him to be so broke, so that's where the storage is. Inside, he found a bunch of elixirs, all for training in the condensation realm, healing potions, energy restoratives, cultivation boosters, and a load of low-grade spiritual tools, probably scavenged from who knows where. Not bad, actually, decent quality. He could sell them all at the God of Wealth Pavilion. Then Li Ming remembered Yi Sheng's sword was pretty good. He pulled it out and gave it a close inspection. This kid's sword is impressive. Probably top tier among mid-grade third-level spiritual weapons. Unnamed longsword, level, 4th grade spiritual weapon, perks, sharp, blue, solid, green, chi breaking, green, chi gathering, green. The blade was like frosted silver, 3 feet 2 inches long, sleek. A 4th grade spiritual weapon with chi gathering and chi breaking? Let's call it the broken true sword. After reading the description, Li Ming channeled his internal energy into the sword. The blade hummed. He swung a random arc, leveling a small hill nearby. Not bad. Looks like I might be able to mess around with swords once in a while. But I could use a good sword technique. Li Ming's eyes sparkled. This sword wasn't as high grade as the Yaoyue sword, but it had its own advantages. His sword and sword technique was finally going to come in handy. Li Ming stowed the broken true sword, then he thumbed through the martial arts techniques in the storage bag. Xuanhua sword art and Xuanhua true skill were right on top, looking well used. The other manuals were tossed aside. Li Ming gently opened the Xuanhua sword art and found it was created by a martial arts saint. Is this the skill he stumbled on? These 2 manuals are complete, full of annotations, even visualization guides for the techniques. Li Ming couldn't help but sigh. Everything was carefully prepared, probably the inheritance of the founder. The founder lived hundreds of years ago and was known as the Xuanhua martial saint. The skill was good enough to reach the 3rd grade Dharma realm, a decent skill, and the final move of the sword technique was close to a unique skill that required the 3rd grade martial arts to use. This clearly wasn't a martial art of the Ichi sect. Yi Sheng just found it by chance. This Yi Sheng sure did stumble into some adventures. Talk about a windfall. Li Ming muttered. Although this technique was useless to him, it could fetch a pretty penny if sold. He glanced through it and saw that the Xuanhua sword art required a special physique to unleash its full potential, like the fire spirit body, or the extreme flame spirit body. Even talented normals couldn't master the powerful moves. But it might not be an issue for me. In theory, his Hunyuan spirit body contained everything, even mutating his internal energy. With his wisdom, he could learn any martial art quickly. this sword technique shouldn't be too hard. Li Ming refocused his attention on Hunyuan, who was playing with the small, khaki-colored mouse in his arms. Treasure hunting mouse. Perks, treasure hunting, green, psychic, white, self-preservation, white, cowardly, gray. Man and mouse seemed to be having a good time. He couldn't help but ask, isn't that Yixing's pet? He thought he saw it in Yixing's arms earlier but didn't notice it during the fight. If he killed the little guy, could he take its perks? No. The perk is incompatible with you. Forcefully taking it might cause unforeseen consequences. Unforeseen. Li Ming eyed the system prompt. If he took it, would he turn into a rat? With that thought, Li Ming dropped the idea. Hunyuan smiled. Yeah, looks like it. It just showed up and jumped over to me. The little guy seems pretty smart. Then keep it. It seems to have a knack for finding treasure. Li Ming stared at the treasure-hunting mouse, which shivered and covered its eyes with tiny paws, as if saying, don't look at me. Did those Qin family folks run into this mine? Li Ming looked at the deep, twisting tunnels. A normal search might take forever. Hey, little fella, how about leading us to the guys who ran into the cave? Or else I'll skin you alive. Li Ming gave the mouse a menacing look. The yellow mouse nodded eagerly, then jumped down, landed softly, sniffed the air, and led Li Ming and the others into the mine. Inside the mine, Qin Tian and his men were fleeing in a panic. Evil spirit beasts were hot on their heels. They'd almost burned through their internal energy and were popping pills like candy. If this kept up, they were done for. Qin Tian's sword was almost broken, his clothes soaked in blood. He was clearly injured. No. We need to double back. Qin Tian gritted his teeth. They haven't been following us. They can't be guarding the entrance, right? We don't have a choice. We can turn around here and head for the entrance. If we charge out with these beasts, we might have a chance. Just as they turned around, Qin Tian saw a figure ahead. Who is it? He demanded, startled. Cousin, it's me, Hunyuan said, holding up a special lantern. Qin Tian didn't know what was going on, but he was glad to see Hunyuan. Just then he remembered the monsters behind him. Hurry! There are a ton of evil spirit beasts coming. As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful evil spirit beast surged into view. Without hesitation, Li Ming flicked out a blade of sword energy, obliterating its soul. That's a lot of them. Get behind me. Li Ming felt a prickle of fear as he faced the tide of evil spirit beasts. Just how many of these things did he tick off? Chapter 67, Farewell, Never Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the mine, the roars never stopped. Li Ming used his sword to cut down wave after wave of those evil spirit beasts. Luckily, most of them weren't tough and went down easy. Even when a bigger one charged, Li Ming just clocked it one good time. Plus, he could recharge his energy pretty fast, so keeping things under control wasn't too hard. Seeing Li Ming so calm, the Qin family finally started to relax. Damn, this guy's a beast. One of the Qin family's guests was blown away and couldn't help but swear. He knew Li Ming was young, talented, and strong, but this was ridiculous. The stamina, the power. He deserved to be called a genius. Qin Tian's eyes lit up, filled with envy. He now understood there was no future in mining. He glanced over at Hunyuan. It's better to hitch your wagon. His cousin was way ahead of him. The elder was right. He still had a lot to learn from her. What are you standing around for? Get over here and help, Li Ming said, not happy about them standing there. You think I'm not getting tired? The Qin family members snapped out of it. Sorry. They said, immediately blasting away with their swords and knives. With Li Ming tanking in front, they felt safe and sound. After a bit, all the evil spirit beasts were gone, leaving just the low-grade evil spirit crystals scattered on the ground. Li Ming sighed, finally finishing off those things. Playing this kind of game in real life isn't fun. Qin Tian thought for a second and asked, what about those Ichi sect guys outside? He already knew the answer, but he still had to ask. Gone, Li Ming replied. Gone? That everyone was shocked, just like that. Didn't make sense. Yep, let's go, Li Ming nodded, not elaborating. instead, he looked at Qin Tian. Name, Qin Tian. Realm, 7th level of condensation. Entries, sword skills, green, intelligence, green, martial bone, green, agility, white, determination, white, mining, white. This guy sure puts a lot of effort into mining. He's got entries for it. Even though it's only white, it shows he's put in the work. I see you haven't condensed the evil spirit yet. Yeah, Qin Tian said, not surprised Li Ming knew. He looked puzzled. Li Ming grabbed a few blood-colored crystals from Qin Yun. You want to use these top-grade evil spirit crystals to condense it? Qin Tian took them, felt them, and nodded. Yes. Li Ming didn't hold back. You gotta pay me, though. I'll sell them to you at 80% off. Deal. Qin Tian was surprised, and his heart skipped a beat. Top-grade evil spirits aren't cheap, and you can't just find them anywhere. There was just one thing. Seeing Qin Tian hesitate, Li Ming asked, what's wrong? Think it's too much? Qin Tian shook his head. No. I just only have ore on me. I don't know if I can use that. Li Ming smiled. Sure, I'll be straight with you. Qin Tian pulled out his storage bag and dumped out all his ore. This is the good stuff I've been digging. It's all yours. Li Ming was a little surprised by the pile of ore. It wasn't that he gave too little, but too much. Most of it was valuable ore. Some of it could even be used to make top-tier spiritual tools. Qin Tian said respectfully, you saved our lives, so of course I want to pay you back. And you cleared out the evil spirits deep in the mine. We can keep digging and find even more valuable stuff. Qin Tian's eyes were sincere. The other two Qin family guests nodded. They helped dig out some of that ore, but they didn't mind giving it up. Li Ming saved their lives, and they could still dig around and get some benefits. Hearing Qin Tian's words, Li Ming didn't pretend and took it all. Seeing Li Ming turn to leave, Qin Yun said, you want to stay? Is competing for the top-grade evil spirit too dangerous? Li Ming didn't dare meet Qin Yun's eyes. After a moment, he said, I'm getting that top-grade evil spirit, don't worry. Qin Yun lowered his head and didn't say anything else. After leaving some elixirs for them, Li Ming said calmly, you guys just keep mining. Take care of Qin Yun. I'm going to go get that evil spirit. Good luck. We're counting on you. Qin Yun and Qin Tian sent their blessings. Thanks. Li Ming smiled and left. Qin Tian and the others watched him disappear into the cave. Still a bit dazed, they dodged a bullet there. Being friends with Li Ming was a good move, Qin Dao said. He respected Li Ming, but he didn't think much of him. He rose to prominence too fast and didn't have much of a background, but this experience showed him the importance of strength. If the Qin family hadn't become friends with him, maybe they would have been killed, like that airbender. Who do you think is behind him? One of the Qin family guests asked. He thought Li Ming was probably from some big organization but wasn't showing it. Why can't he just be talented? If he was that talented, he'd have been famous a long time ago. And when he first came to the Qin family, he wasn't this strong. Some people bloom later. Maybe his talent was hidden. He's good at it. They argued and finally came to a conclusion. Geniuses are unpredictable. If they try hard, normal people can't catch up. Qin Tian looked at Qin Yun, looked at the tunnel, and asked, cousin, everyone's gone, what are you still staring at? You can watch him when we get out. He thought Li Ming and Qin Yun were more than friends. Maybe they'd be family. Qin Yun shook his head and said, I'm saying goodbye. I don't know when I'll see him again. Qin Tian scratched his head. He didn't understand that stuff. No matter what, when I'm done condensing the evil spirit, I'm gonna have a blast digging. Li Ming was a little melancholy as he left the mine. He kind of knew how Qin Yun felt. Too bad things weren't working out. If he wasn't talented, maybe staying would be a good ending. The Qin family was rich, and Qin Yun was kind. If someone like that had liked him in his old life, he'd be thrilled, but things were different now. He wanted something more than that. He couldn't stop here. Chapter 68 Cangzhou Qi Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The last day in the secret realm dawned near the bloody plains. A crowd had gathered, close to 100 warriors, including over 10 masters in the Golden Core realm. Only those with confidence and power would dare to come here seeking the ultimate evil spirit. The weak either stayed away or were already eliminated. Ming arrived early, masked and keeping a low profile among the crowd, concealing his chi. He planned to observe and prepare before acting, wary of drawing attention as the most outstanding human talent present. He scanned the arrivals, noticing almost all displayed cyan entries, with many showing blue entries, marking them as elites. He soon realized that the Lin family had allied with the Qi family, the initial discoverers of the Blood Mountain army. The Qi family of Cangzhou was a renowned lineage, boasting generations of martial saints, based in Cangzhou city since before the founding of Daxuan. Their influence spread throughout Cangzhou, with family members holding official positions, even in Xuandu city. They were in a different league compared to the Lin and Zhao families Ming had encountered. Ming glanced at Lin Sun's panel, surprised. Lin Sun's actually choosing to break through. He's giving up the top-tier evil spirit to side with the Qi family. It wasn't entirely unexpected. The Qi family had brought 5 pseudo-golden core masters and 4 Ninggang realm masters, all powerful and skilled. Lin Sun, ever the strategist, likely felt he'd gain more by helping the Qi family win the prize, establishing valuable connections. This made things more difficult for Ming. If he acted rashly, he risked being besieged by both families, jeopardizing his chances of claiming the top-grade evil spirit. Forget settling accounts with the Lin family for now. The priority is securing that evil spirit. Suddenly, Lin Sun stepped forward, took a high vantage point, drew a magnificent bow, and fired. A flash of cold light. Whoosh! The arrow flew with irresistible force and lightning speed. The Lin family's signature Dinghai arrow technique, *boom, star, the arrow struck its distant target, generating a powerful shock wave. He unleashed 3 more in quick succession, each a devastating blast. Evil soldiers below were instantly reduced to ash. Then, a beam of blood-red light pierced the sky, visible to all within the secret realm. It signaled the beginning of the challenge. As predicted, a massive, bloody vortex appeared in the sky, turning the once gray expanse blood-red. The final challenge of the secret realm. Impressive. Lin Sun, after a close look, shook his head, and ran to Qi Ming to whisper a few words. Soon, a loud voice announced. My brother Lin just tested the waters, using his bow and arrows to eliminate several evil soldiers, but they are reborn quickly. The others nodded, acknowledging that the creator of the secret realm wouldn't allow them to exploit any loopholes. The soldiers will continue to revive indefinitely unless the army commander is eliminated. Qi Ming then addressed the crowd seriously. I, Qi Ming, came to this secret realm for the unparalleled evil spirit, as I believe you all did. Winning it won't be easy. It's a challenge too great for any single force alone. I'll get straight to the point. Those willing to help me, Qi Ming, will be deeply thanked by my family. If not, we'll all compete on our own merits. I won't force anyone. Li Ming's interest piqued. Qi Ming was a man of character. He checked his information. Name, Qi Ming. Realm, 7th level of condensation. Entry, blade body, blue, golden bone, green, martial arts fanatic, green, the true meaning of the sword, green, tiger power, green, sword skills, green, loyalty and wealth, white, misogyny, white, everything must be reversed, gray. This guy's got serious potential. He makes Lin Sun look insignificant. Ming mused, talents in the world aren't neatly categorized. Some prefer to remain unknown, avoiding the spotlight, and the Tianji Pavilion doesn't force anyone onto the list. This man was born into wealth, subject to the whims of fate. Whether he could overcome adversity remained to be seen. He'll either fail to rise to the occasion, or he'll overcome these obstacles and transform into a powerful leader. History is filled with examples. Commoners have become emperors, while established families have crumbled. But then again, this guy isn't two-faced, so he can be trusted. The crowd's eyes lit up at Qi Ming's words. Some sighed with relief, feeling the pressure ease. While the Qi family was powerful, many still harbored ambitions of claiming the top-grade evil spirit. wanting to fight for their martial futures, others were eager to join the Qi family, seeking shelter with a powerful ally. Qi Ming, pleased, distributed pills to win them over. Lin Sun remained by Qi Ming's side, assisting like a trusted aide. More and more people flocked to the Qi family's banner, but he wasn't worried about his position. He was the first to offer allegiance, and Qi Ming would value him for demonstrating loyalty. Plus, his own strength and talent were significant. Lin Sun also tasked others with finding Li Ming, no longer dismissing the rising star on the human list. I don't know where he's hiding. If I get the chance, I'll eliminate him. Lin Sun plotted, still uneasy about Li Ming despite limited conflict with the Lin family. The other party was known for seeking revenge, as demonstrated by the Zhao family's swift destruction for a minor offense. Li Ming's ruthlessness was concerning, especially with the looming turmoil and potential war. Daxuan was turning a blind eye to sects and families, focusing on border deployments. Was Li Ming fearless, or simply foolish? Chapter 69, The Way of Martial Arts, The Way of Killing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the team, Li Ming was decked out in a super low-key set of black armor. This gear was another gift from his buddy, Yisheng. It was all about defense and stealth. Not the prettiest thing, but solid quality. Qi Ming, on the other hand, was all about the flash. He was rocking golden battle armor with starburst designs and a wicked-looking red knife on his hip. Plus, he had the whole handsome thing going on, so he looked like a total badass. Talk about a spotlight, he's gonna be a bullet magnet on the field. Li Ming just shook his head. Dude was dressed so loud you could spot him a mile away. But Qi Ming probably didn't even care. I mean, his family, the Qis, were the top dogs around here, so everyone would be watching anyway. Let's roll. Qi Ming yelled, leading the charge. His flashy outfit was already turning heads and getting people hyped. They were thinking Qi Ming was some kind of shining knight. If he was leading the charge, maybe they actually had a shot at snagging that top-tier evil spirit. The whole crew followed him, leaving the high ground and heading for the bloody mess below. Deep in the ranks of the Blood Mountain Army, on that crimson plain, sat a massive dude with 2 guards behind him lugging a Fangtian halberd. Unlike the other soldiers, blurry-faced, walking piles of evil energy and blood, this guy looked like a regular human, except for the bloody lines etched in his skin. His muscles were like coiled dragons, and his wild black hair framed a face that screamed, giant. Just being near him, you could feel the raw killing intent pouring off him, a brutal, domineering aura that filled the space. He saw the warriors coming and smirked. More chumps lining up for a beatdown, huh? Hope they put up a little fight. This demon-looking dude was supposedly Xue Tianxing, commander of the Blood Mountain Army. Or, at least, a puppet with his memories. The real Xue Tianxing was gone, buried with Blood Maple City and his army. But, being a grade 4 grandmaster, he left a hell of a grudge. So, some powerful folks from the human side figured they'd use it, pumping his resentment and obsession into this new body. Now, instead of guarding the great Zhou dynasty, he was just another obstacle in the blood-killing secret realm, testing any warrior dumb enough to step up. Only the strongest could get their hands on the best evil spirit. And being a Zhou guy at heart, he wasn't about to cut any slack for these Daxuan punks. Over the years, even with the memories of his past life, his emotions had flatlined. Only blood and battle got him going. So, who's gonna be the first lucky winner to show up? This is it, the Blood Mountain Army. That they were close now. Close enough to feel the bone-crushing weight of the army, the blood-red armor, the swords, spears, shields, and the flapping flags, like a nightmare from some long-dead battlefield. Looks like their commander still has this army on lockdown. Someone got it right. The 9,000-strong Blood Mountain Army had clearly seen them coming. Their eyes were bloodshot, but they were holding their formations. Staying put, and that's saying something. Discipline is everything in an army. The reason the Tao soldiers were so tough was their insane discipline. They'd fight to the last man, never retreat without orders. A regular army, though. Once 10% of them were down, morale would crater, and they'd be looking for the nearest exit. Guess that plan to draw out a chunk of the army and sneak attack the commander is out the window. Qi Ming frowned, a little bummed. Bypassing the Blood Mountain Army and going straight for the head wasn't going to be a walk in the park, and nobody else was stepping up. They were all just hanging back, waiting for someone else to make the first move. Time ticked on. Still nothing. Li Ming was happy to chill and watch the show. Finally, Qi Ming cracked. We're wasting time. We need a plan. We need to split up and hit them from all sides. How do we split up? Someone asked. I mean, everyone knew the different groups had vastly different power levels. And who got which position in the charge was a whole can of worms. Every team for themselves. Qi Ming said. But if everyone rushes, those of you who want to hide behind and take advantage, don't blame me for attacking all of you. Everyone nodded. Fair. Everyone relies on their ability. If someone wants to take advantage of it, don't blame someone for being rude. Some people even raised their knives to demonstrate with ferocious demeanor. Then people from all sides began to look for positions, and with so many people, there were naturally some conflicts. After a dispute, for teams were roughly divided into 4, Li Ming thought for a moment and joined one of the teams. However, in order not to attract Lin Sun's attention, he deliberately did not join the Qi family's team. It was a team closer to them. Kill. Let's go. With roars, the 4 teams were like 4 arrows, charging towards the Blood Mountain Army waiting in the plain not far away. The warriors came fiercely, but the Blood Mountain Army was unmoved. Each soldier began to form a battle array in an orderly manner, and the outer army formed dozens of small square arrays. Woo woo woo. As a horn sounded throughout the world, each soldier's eyes became full of murderous intent, and the bloody aura was stimulated, leading the entire army to unite into one. From a distance, above the Blood Mountain Army, the blood and evil aura turned into a blood mist, covering the sky and the sun. Even though the mind has been lost, the battle array formed by the instinct of the Blood Mountain Army is still extraordinary. The might of nearly 10,000 people is even greater than that of the warriors. Kill. The shouts of killing continued, and the sound of metal and iron intersecting continued. The 2 sides fought hand to hand and collided with each other, although the warrior teams fought separately, but the destructive power of a single unit is very good. Die for me again. A warrior in the condensation realm, murderous, holding a big axe in the charge, chopped out angrily, and directly hit the dozens of Blood Mountain Army in front of him, and the blood was scattered. In just a moment, another small group of Blood Mountain Army rushed up. The death of his companions did not move him at all. One by one, they waved their blood spears in their hands and stabbed up. Li Ming, who was in the crowd, looked at the scene in front of him with a complicated heart. He had experienced many life and death battles and seen many scenes, but this scene on the battlefield really shocked him. Although the Blood Mountain Army was far less powerful than before, they still swore to fight to the death and would rather die than retreat. The opponent's eyes were full of killing intent. Roar. There were shouts, screams, and roars in the sky above the battlefield. But the more he fought, the worse he felt. Although the Blood Mountain Army was retreating step by step, it was still in order. After killing one group, another group came up. After killing 2 groups, the previous group was resurrected again. After all, the power of a warrior is limited. If you advance at this speed, I am afraid that even if the true energy is exhausted, you can't break through too far. In this case, then, kill. Facing the Blood Mountain Army charging with spears, Li Ming swung his long sword and cleared the area. Kill. Facing the endless Blood Mountain Army, Li Ming swung his sword wantonly, no longer holding back, and gradually walked in front of the crowd, seeing the surprised eyes of the people next to him. Li Ming didn't care. It seemed that there was nothing in the world that could restrain him. He didn't need to be afraid of those things, and didn't need to hide himself, just kill. Martial arts is also the way of killing. No wonder there are so many martial saints and they are so strong in the war years. Although Li Ming was killing constantly, his eyes were extremely clear. If he could kill out a bright world and a prosperous era in the war, in this way, why can't he be called a martial saint? Slaying alone into the depths of the Blood Mountain Army, Li Ming was like entering an empty space. Ha ha ha, this is so refreshing. Li Ming laughed, and the long sword in his hand was invincible, like a death god harvesting lives, pressing forward step by step. At this moment, he has gradually come to the front. The swords rose and fell, harvesting countless souls. At this time, casualties began to appear among the warriors. The deeper they went, the clearer they could see. The strength of these Blood Mountain army became stronger. From crushing to equal strength. The speed of advancement was getting slower and slower, and more people were injured. Everyone, don't hide your weakness. Kill. That with a roar of Qi Ming, many Jindan masters also began to exert their strength. The innate true Qi was crisscrossing the battlefield, and the army within a few dozen meters was cleared. Faintly, the opponent's commander could be seen. Chapter 70, Passing thousands of troops, fighting the bloodthirsty general. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, talk about speed. Li Ming's teammates were shocked and pissed. Who is this guy? He's been hiding his skills. When Li Ming joined, they acted all friendly, but secretly planned to use him as bait. Turns out, this bait is way stronger than any of them. Catch up to him, quick. The big dude in green armor yelled, eyes blazing. This is a golden opportunity. If they could overtake Li Ming and reach the center first, they'd have a shot at grabbing that top-tier evil spirit. But before they could move, the Blood Mountain army surged in, filling the once empty area. Maybe Li Ming was too effective, because a huge chunk of the army started shifting towards him. They tried their best to push forward, but it was useless. The Blood Mountain army just kept getting thicker and stronger. Clang! Clang! The sounds of metal on metal filled the air. What the hell? These soldiers are suddenly so strong. Damn it! The green-armored dude's excitement vanished, replaced by rage as he swung his massive blade. They'd been hoping to use Li Ming to clear the path, but instead, he'd drawn a huge crowd for them. Talk about backfiring. Some of these soldiers were even Blood Mountain army generals. With the army's backing, their combined strength was on par with a top-tier Jindan Grandmaster. They were gonna have a hell of a time breaking free. They might even die. We gotta retreat, now. The green-armored guy gritted his teeth, roaring. He had no choice. If they charged in, they were toast. Swish. A flash of cold light, and Li Ming cleared a wide arc in front of him. Every Blood Mountain soldier within feet was instantly torn apart. Kill. The murderous aura radiating off Li Ming was practically solid. He charged ahead, straight into the heart of the Blood Mountain army, towards a huge, blood-lettered banner. If he was right, that was where the Blood Mountain army commander was holed up. Li Ming advanced steadily through the endless wave of soldiers, swords and knives flashing. His blade aura extended 10 feet, cutting down enemies like a lawnmower through grass. Not even thousands of soldiers could slow him down. Swish! 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 A volley of arrows shot towards him from afar, but Li Ming just swung his sword, the blade aura easily knocking them all down. Suddenly, the Blood Mountain army soldiers attacking Li Ming from all sides paused and scattered, making way. Li Ming didn't know what was happening, but he wasn't gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. He quickly crossed the open space and arrived at a tent. 2 lines of elite Blood Mountain army soldiers stood guard with spears. In the center sat a hulking figure in heavy armor and a helmet, clutching a massive Fang Tianhuaji. Shui Tianqing radiated power, staring at Li Ming. You're strong, I'll give you that, and one of the top 3 geniuses I've seen. He bellowed. Are you the Blood Mountain army commander? Li Ming felt the oppressive evil energy, assessed the situation, and spoke slowly. This guy was smarter than he looked. He even had memories from the past. He must have intentionally let him get here so quickly. That's right. I am Shui Tianqing. Defeat me, and the top-tier evil spirit is yours. Shui Tianqing erupted with murderous intent, a grim look spreading across his face under the helmet. Come on then. Let's see how strong this generation's geniuses are. Evil energy surged from Shui Tianqing, like he'd just crawled out of hell. He swung his Fang Tianhuaji towards Li Ming with earth-shattering force. Whoosh! The swing was simple and direct, creating a raging wind that whipped the blood dust off the ground, like a red dragon roaring. Shui Tianqing wasn't as powerful as he used to be, and could only rely on evil energy to attack. But his strength was still immense, too much for even a Jindan Grandmaster to handle. But Li Ming was different. Boom! Li Ming didn't dodge. As the wind crashed down, he slashed upwards. This strike combined his sword intent, momentum, and light, and coupled with his unmatched strength, transformed an ordinary sword-drawing technique. It was like cutting through the sky. Clang! The Yaoyue blade and the heavy Fang Tianhuaji collided with a deafening crash that echoed through the air, drowning out the sounds of fighting nearby. Both of them stepped back slightly, a head-on collision, a contest of equals. Not bad. Xue Tianqing raised his eyebrows, a hint of joy in his eyes, but Li Ming frowned. This guy was seriously strong. Usually, he dominated in head-on fights, but this time he couldn't gain an advantage. As Li Ming focused, Xue Tianqing chuckled. Someone else is coming. Boy, are those your buddies? Li Ming said flatly, nope. It was the Qi family. Naturally, breaking through thousands of Blood Mountain soldiers wasn't easy. The deeper you went, the harder it got. Many forces had already pulled out, but, unlike the huge group from before, only about a dozen members of the Qi family had made it this far. The rest had either died on the way or run away. Seeing Li Ming standing alone, his eyes went wide. Who's this kid? How'd he get here before us? No way. Is there some shortcut we don't know about? How could someone arrive solo when they had so many Golden Core Realm Masters? Li Ming and Xue Tianqing shared an unspoken agreement and didn't keep fighting. The 12 imposing guards next to him stood firm. Without Xue Tianqing's order, they wouldn't do anything. Li Ming frowned, refusing to act carelessly, and analyzed the situation. Xue Tianqing was so powerful that even he wasn't sure of victory. Now this group of interlopers arrived. Should he team up? Or should they duke it out first to see who gets to challenge him? The Qi family tensed, Lin Sun among them, looking suspiciously at Li Ming. Everyone was on edge, waiting. The field was silent. The Qi family was hoping Li Ming would throw in with them. Li Ming wanted nothing to do with the Qi family, and waited for an opening. Seeing the stalemate, Xue Tianqing couldn't help but chime in. Ha ha ha, looks like you can't agree. Why not fight each other? The winner gets to fight me. Xue Tianqing clearly wanted to stir things up, as if worried they'd play nice. Qi Ming frowned. You must be powerful to get here alone. Why not join forces and take the evil spirit? We can't lose everything over something small. Li Ming was rarely impressed. He glanced at Qi Ming, then at Xue Tianqing. How do I know you won't stab me in the back? He said. Qi Ming might not seem cunning, but his people weren't trustworthy, and in the face of high stakes, trusting someone's character was naive. He wasn't about to leave his back exposed to these people. Qi Ming was speechless. Xue Tianqing couldn't help but say, how about I help you kill them, and then we fight.